Motorsports. We're going to talk about degreeing the camshaft on one of these little CB175 Honda engines that we do a lot of. There's a lot of different cams out there, and a lot of custom cams don't always come with the numbers that you need stated with them to degree the cam properly. So the method I use all the time is just lobe centers. Check the lobe centers. That'll give you a good idea of where the cam is versus intake and exhaust, and you can center it up on that and you're going to be close enough to run. A couple of things to start with before you really get started. You got to have a good top dead center mark. So go ahead and find your top dead center, get your degree wheel lined up on it. You want to have your cam chain set so you don't have any lash back and forth in the cam chain, and you want to get your indicator on the valve retainer so it's sweeping in the same direction as the valve. You don't want it off at an angle. You need it to follow the valve, so you're getting exact, true measurements every time. So it's a pretty simple calculation to get the lobe center. Once you've got all your gauges zeroed, basically just turn the engine over and find the opening and closing, and then do a little math and find where the lobe centers are. So let's get started. So right now the exhaust valve is opening, and we're going to open it to 1 millimeter, which is 40 thousandths. That's what I normally measure everything at, and we are at 55. Alright, so we're going to get this to a stopping point and mark that down. So exhaust open at 55 degrees. And we're going to go on around to where the exhaust closes. And we're going to back up to that same 1 millimeter, but we want to go past it and then come back to it. So you take all that lash out of the chain, make sure it's going in the direction of the engine turning, and we are at 10. So we have our two numbers that are required to do this calculation. So then we will add those two together. So 55 plus 10 plus 180, which means this traveled 180 degrees while the cam was open. Everyone will do that, so you have to use that all the time. Equals 245. So that's 245 degrees of duration at 40 thousandths lift. So we're going to mark duration is 245 at 40. You can check it at 20, you can check it at 40 or 50. Whatever you decide to check it at, you can check it at. I just always check them at 40. You just want to be consistent with how you're doing it. So then 245, you'll divide that by 2, equals 122.5, and then you minus the smaller number, which was 10. And on the exhaust side, that will be the closing number. On the intake side, it will be the opening number. And that puts us at a 112.5 center line. 0.5. Okay, so while we're on this one, we're also going to check the lift and the lift at TDC. So we're going to run on around here. The lift is, there's 100 thousandths, 200, 293. I'll mark that down. And this is just information for you to write down and have, so you know what cams you're running and what lift and everything that they have. And then I like to also measure the lift at TDC on overlap, and this one is 75 degrees. I mean 75 thousandths, sorry. Alright, so we know where that one is now. Let's move on to the intake side. So I've got to change our setup here a little bit. I have already set this cam, so I know exactly where it's going to come up. So we're just kind of going through the motions here to show you. Being a single cam, when you adjust one side, you adjust the other. So you have to kind of split the difference sometimes. But this one ended up, I had to move it 10 degrees to get it where I wanted it. So I guess I've already done already done the homework on it, just kind of going through the motions. Okay, so we're at 0, and we're going to open it to 40 thousandths or 1 millimeter, and we are at 12. And now they're closing. Go past it. Come back to it. We are at 47. Okay, so we'll go back through this calculation. So that's 12 plus 47 plus 180 equals, so that's a 239 duration. And divide by 2, and then minus the smaller number, which on this one was the opening number, and you get 107.5. So the cam is advanced about 2.5 degrees, which I'm okay with in this instance for who this is going to, and the cam chain will stretch a little bit as it wears in, which will retard the cam. So that will, it'll end up probably a degree advanced once everything's broken in and ready to go. So that's just how I do it. There's a lot of variables to go through getting to the actual valve timing, your rocker arm ratios and radiuses on the rocker arm pads. All that makes a difference. So just going by what number somebody gives you on a cam card, you may not end up with those same numbers by the time you check out the valve. So by doing it this way with the lobe center, you know exactly where those lobes are. You want them to be, within a couple of degrees of each other, unless you're trying to, make more bottom end or more top end. You can sway the cam either way. But this is the easiest way to kind of get you in that, centered ballpark. If you have any questions, contact us at andrewsmotorsports.com.